New consoles, new misinformation, and of course, new myths. It's just so hard to know the truth about something if you can't actually put your hands on it. And with the low stock of gaming consoles, that's a situation that most people fit in. Even if you have one, the internet is filled with so many lies that it is so hard to trust anything other people say. But don't worry, because today, we'll talk about the 18 most common myths and misconceptions that people have about the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S.
Super players.
Myth number 1. You no longer need to pay for Xbox Live Gold to play online. This is not true. You still need to pay a subscription to play online games on Xbox consoles. However, not a long time ago, Microsoft made an exception on free-to-play games like Fortnite, Apex, Modern Warfare's Warzone, and of course Halo Infinite, to name a few. That means free-to-play games are now actually free-to-play on Xbox, like they have always been on PlayStation and Switch. But keep in mind that games that are not free-to-play do require a subscription to play online. Myth number 2. Xbox always requires an internet connection. Well, more or less. When you buy a new Xbox, you have to connect it to the internet at least once to synchronize with Microsoft servers and to download updates. That process is in fact mandatory before you use your console. That said, once you do that, you can use your console offline without any problem. Myth number 3. The Xbox S Series is not a next-gen console. This is absolutely false. Let's just say that many people are confused because this console was not designed for 4K gaming. This console was designed for 1080p or 1440p TVs and monitors, which is still more common than 4K. However, almost all the technology that the Xbox Series X has, the Series S has too. That means that storage is just as fast. All the same GameWorks and features like Quick Resume, which allow you to continue a game no matter where you left it, no matter if you turn off your console, works the same on Series S. Also, the S Series can run games at 120 frames per second. So yeah, this little guy is definitely a next-gen console. Myth number 4. You can't connect an old external hard disk to the new Xbox. This is also false. You can indeed connect a hard drive on the new Xbox consoles. The storage on this generation is far faster than previous consoles, mainly because they don't use mechanical hard drives anymore. Even old SSD drives are considered slow by today's standards. However, if you connect an external storage to your new Xbox, you will be able to install and play games from older generations like Xbox One, Xbox 360, or the original Xbox. Also, although you can't install games from this generation on the external hard drive, you can still use it as a backup device. This comes in handy when you download a new game, finish it, and don't intend to play it immediately again. You can store it on the hard drive as a backup. That way, if you need to play it again in the future, you just have to install from the slow hard drive to the fast internal storage without needing to download the game again. Myth number 5. All Xbox games from past generations will work on the new Xbox. This is actually false, because if we go into specifics, not all games are retro-compatible. That being said, the new Xbox consoles are known for having the best backwards compatibility in the industry, and the vast majority of important old games do work on the new Xbox, and in some cases with free improved graphics and frame rate. You can Google the official list of games if you want to confirm if the old games you want to play will work on your new console, but most probably will. Myth number 7. Xbox is less powerful than the PlayStation 5. That's actually not true either. Yes, the smaller and less expensive Series S is not more powerful than a PS5, but the Series X is. We've seen that, for multi-platform titles, games on Xbox Series X tend to have better frame rate, and the resolution is always better on Series X as well. So yes, the Series X is more powerful than the PS5, and it shows. Myth number 8. Xbox is slower loading games than the PlayStation 5. Yeah, we know. You heard this from time to time because Sony has talked so much about their proprietary storage that is supposedly much faster than Xbox, and yet in practice, we haven't seen much of a true advantage. So far, what we've seen in multi-platform games is that they load at about the same speed, or in some cases, PlayStation 5 is a few seconds faster. Obviously, we have to see if Sony's exclusives will eventually really make a difference in this aspect. But for now, it's basically the same thing, and there is no clear winner here. Myth number 9. The storage on the Xbox Series S series is too small. Yes, it's small, but it's manageable. This console has about 512 gigabytes of storage, which is not much, but in reality is even less than that because the operating system also consumes some of that storage space. That said, games that exceed 100 gigabytes really are the exception to the rule. For the most part, games can take around 15 GB, 20 GB, 30 GB, and so on. So you may have from 5 to 10 games depending on the size without too much trouble. Myth number 10. The Xbox Series X burns itself. No. That's a lie. When the Xbox Series X launched, a video showing what looked like an Xbox blowing smoke went viral. However, upon further inspection, it was just some random kid blowing smoke from a vape into the console. Xbox even wrote a tweet asking people to not do this because, vapor contains water and electronics don't mix very well. So yeah, this is also a myth. Myth number 11. The new Xbox controller is the same Xbox One controller. Although the new Xbox controller isn't as revolutionary as the DualSense controller, it is not the same as an Xbox One controller. And yeah, we know, at first glance they look pretty much the same. But if you hold it on your hands side by side, you'll feel the added texture on the back, new triggers that have more grip, the bumpers feel better, the crosspad is great, and now we have a share button like PlayStation and Nintendo Switch always had. Yes, they look familiar, but they feel different. Myth number 12. You need a 4K TV if you buy a new Xbox. This is also absolutely false, and is one of the things we hear the most. Many people think that if the console supports 4K, they need a 4K TV, and that's not true. If you have a 1080p TV, you can perfectly play your Xbox Series X and Series S, even your PlayStation 5. Of course, a 4K TV will make everything look better, but these consoles do work on HD displays without a problem. Myth number 13. The Xbox Series X console is too big. Well, it's not so much that it's big, it's more that it has an unconventional shape, like a small fat tower, but it's not really that big, even more so if you compare it to the enormous building called the PlayStation 5. Myth number 14. The Xbox Series S series is too small. Yes, the S series is very small. In fact, I think a lot of people who haven't seen it personally can't imagine how small it is. It's super small, and we're not talking like PS4 Slim small, we're talking more like Nintendo Wii small. Just look at it side by side to get an idea of how tiny it is. Myth number 15. I can build a better gaming PC for the same price of an Xbox. No, you can't. We have seen several examples of top tech YouTubers trying to achieve the performance of an Xbox console in computers that cost the same or even more, and they just couldn't do it. And that was before the pandemic, the GPU stock shortage, and computer parts pricing surge. So yeah, good luck trying to get Xbox performance on a custom-built computer for the same price. Myth number 16. Any HDMI cable will work on the new Xbox. Well, yes, in most cases, any HDMI cable will work. The cable that you've always used will work. However, if at some point they release a new game that runs at 4K and 120 frames per second, and you have a 4K TV that supports 120 frames per second, which are very expensive and almost non-existent, then yes, you will need a cable known as Ultra High Speed HDMI, or just HDMI 2.1 that only works on the Xbox Series X. But for the time being, that's very unlikely. Myth number 17. The Xbox Series X can float a ping pong ball. No. Myth number 18. The Xbox Series X can only be placed in a vertical position. That is also false. These consoles can be put horizontally, so this is a myth. You can place both the Series X and the Series S in the horizontal position. Anyway, these were the most common myths about the new Xbox consoles. Hope you've learned something new about them, and we'll see you again soon in our next video.
Super players.